universe is plotting against me doing the stream because I sit down and I'm like ready to click live, and then the phone is ringing. And I tried to make it as fast as possible because I got to stream eventually. I managed to let the other person know that I'm busy. I'm ready to press the go live button, and then the baby starts crying. So the universe is just not very happy about the fact that we're going to talk. Anyway, I saw the new Dragon Age, which I gotta say is one of my favorite games of all time. Dragon Age, Mass Effect, these are like classics. And the way they managed to butcher them, holy shit. I do not understand this mindset that a lot of developers have, where they take an IP that already has its own lore and mythos and soul, and then just make it in a different game. And it begs the question, why didn't you make it a different game? Like, this is more like Borderlands than Dragon Age, right? So, look at this image. Someone pointed out that it looks like Tumblr characters, but I would think like they're the rejects of Tumblr. Like, these characters have been rejected by Tumblr because other more skilled artists were able to produce better work. So they found their home in Dragon Age. This is a woman, by the way, in case you didn't know. The correct term is a Democrat. Yes, like Democrats are now even in fantasy universes. All of the characters are pansexuals. They do not have straight sexualities in Dragon Age. All breasts are under D cups. There is no such thing as a D-sized breast, because we know that is grossly offensive. Like, nothing offends a Democrat more than femininity. It's disgusting and vile. So the only acceptable breast size is B or C. And what else do we have? What else do we have? You're not going to be able to control your companions, right? Because that requires more work. I mean, the companies will ask $120 from you, but they don't want to work for that. I mean, making, the user interface and trying to figure out about the ways that the player can break the game, and too much hassle. Too much hassle. Just, again, this is Borderlands. The Dragon Age spin-off, I guess. Now, one of the cool shit that I loved about Dragon Age was the racism. My fucking god, I love the racism in that game. It was so fucking amazing. Because you get to play as an elf, and you have people being racist against you, right? And that creates drama, that creates tension. Yeah, we're not going to have that anymore, because Democrats don't like racism. Not even in fiction, right? So we need to sanitize fiction. Because that's how people are racist. They play video games and then they get racist thoughts. So thank you for the Democrats for doing that. Another cool stuff was the blood magic, right? Now, the blood magic was actually a religious thing. In the universe of Dragon Age, the maker said that magic is to be used to serve mankind and never to control it. And blood magic, you could use it in order to control other people, so it was viewed as heretical. And again, like, that caused interesting conflict, because there were some mages that were trying to make the argument that, no, actually, like, blood magic is like any other type of magic. And others were like, no, this is evil. So, like again, it gave the player a philosophical conundrum, but because the philosophical conundrum is not between Drumpf and Kamala, it's not political enough, so it doesn't have any place in the game. So we're not going to witness the controversy about blood magic here. But we are going to get pronouns instead. I mean, how can you have a game without pronouns, right? Like, it's essential. Pronouns are now the spice melange of the United States of America. Without the spice, games can't flow. So you need to have pronouns in the video game. And of course, Nexus Mods is here to rescue us, because there are some evil moderators that are committing heresy by removing the sacredness of the pronouns, right? Like, the pronouns are part of the Democrat Party. They are so infused with the Democrat agenda right now that separating them is blasphemy. So Nexus Mods is going to be ever so vigilant that you do not remove the pronouns from the game. And remember, in order to defend pronouns, you need to pretend that they don't matter. Like, this is the 101 defense. This is the go-to thing. If someone attacks pronouns, you need to call them a little baby because they don't really matter. But then you call Nexus Mods and it's like, oi, they're onto it. They're onto it. Like, shut it down. Shut all the mods that take down the pronouns right now. It is essential. And then you go back on the keyboard and you're like, clickety-clack. Oh, why do you care about pronouns? You know, like, this is the correct mindset to have. And that's how you become a real activist. That's how you make mommy and daddy proud. And that's how Kamala Harris looks at you with like a little tear dripping from her eye, going like, yes, my citizens are so patriotic. Extreme woke game director who is politically active and identifies as queer or sexual and gendermancer. My God, you see, this is the power of gender. This is the United States secret weapon. They have universities, and within those universities, it's kind of like in a Middle Eastern society, you know, where they have the wise men, the imams. Americans have like the gender university professors. They're the imams of America. And in those universities, they study hard. They work hard in order to figure out how gender works, how the society constructs the systems of gender. And now they are unleashing the real power, the gendermancy. Dun, dun, dun. And with it, Amazon is going to become even greater. Game director is inherently very queer. Oh, I had no idea. Double standard on nudity, full junk, even a romance scene, but no titty. The cock must flow in American entertainment. This is what Americans like. They like cocks. They don't like boobs. Boobs are horrible. If you like boobs, you need to touch grass. You need to like the cock. If you want fan service, you need to transition. Like, the game is trying to help you out to be a better human being. So you need to transition in order to enjoy fan service like normal people. What is this nonsense? Like, do you think it's Stellar Blade? That's disgusting. So yeah. Very, very interesting game. What can I say? It's something that I'm really excited in playing. Hello, my friend, Romanian troll. Hello, Sakuna. Another troll. We're trolling together. I like your avatar. I thought we were still on 2.0. No, we've moved to 3. I will read the article in a little bit. It was just published today. It's an article by, let me check. I think it's Vice Magazine. No, it's Wired. It's Wired. Is Vice still around, or did they go bankrupt? Anyway. My son is crying again. Why is he so displeased? Probably heard about Dragon Age. And I told him, it's like, my son, Dragon Age, it has characters that look like Tumblr. And he was like, you know, he knows what's up. I would rather play Dragon Age, or it was such an amazing game, man. You know, if I was born in 2010, I would have had the impression that America, with its 350 million people, is incapable of creating any worthwhile work of art. No, like, seriously, what did America create recently? I mean, we got Wet Ass Pussy, we got, like, all the hip-hop shit, we got, like, all the woke games and stuff, but, like, there's absolutely nothing that I can see, yeah, like, this is so good, I can definitely enjoy it 20 years from now. But, you know, I was born in the 90s, so I guess I do know that America used to create good music. America used to create some of the best films that the world has ever seen, some of the best comics that the world has ever seen. And the thing is, like, the woke agree with that because they keep making remakes and sequels and prequels. So even the woke agree, yeah, no, it was actually really good. But they're acting like a cargo cult now. You know, it's kind of like Disney. Like, they know there is magic there. They know, like, they have the potential in creating something good, but they don't know how. So the only thing that's left is, like, for them to try to recreate the magic, but they just can't. They're like the little engine that couldn't. Let it all burn to the ground. It's kind of funny because there was, like, this content creator, and he was on a stream saying that, oh, like, gamers, they just want studios to fall. Yes. No, like, I generally do want all these studios to go bankrupt, because only from the ashes can something new arise. Yeah, like, if I generally don't get it. Like, okay, so if you have a restaurant that starts serving shit to people, and people are complaining, and they're like, dude, we don't like it because it's shit. Actually, you know what? Hold on. Fuck it. I'll actually give a proper analogy now. I'll give you a proper analogy. So imagine that you are in a city and you really enjoy eating out. Like you got some friends and you really enjoy going out and eating at various restaurants. You're supporting your local economy. The prices are good. And this is how you spend your time. You know, every afternoon you go with your friends and you're going to these restaurants. They're not luxurious restaurants. They're not like 3-star Michelin stuff. But they're kind of, you know, like a place where you can hang out, have a meal, and enjoy conversation with your buddies, right? Now all these restaurants, all of a sudden, they start putting a microphone on the table, and they're telling you that when you're there, you can't just talk whatever you want with your friends. Because now there's terms of service. You want to eat there, you gotta avoid certain topics. You can't talk about COVID vaccines. You can't talk about Biden's laptop. You can't talk about this and that. You can't use these words while at their table, right? So now there's microphones at the table. And they're like listening in to what you gotta say. And you're like, okay, I mean, shit, everywhere is like this now. So you kind of like the food and, you know, you feel a little bit weird. You're not really yourself now. But okay, you know, you deal with it. And then they start changing the food. They start adding bugs into the meal. They have like this cricket paste, which is not really like meat. But it tastes differently, right? So a lot of people are complaining and they're like, well, this isn't the food that we like. Like, why can't we get like the old stuff? And they're like, no, because we're fighting climate change, and you gotta eat this new food. Like, this is actually what's good. And a lot of other, and they start gaslighting you. And it's like a lot of customers actually love this. Like, this is normal. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, you're not coming here just for the meat, right? You're coming for the atmosphere. You're coming for your friends. You're coming for all these things. Like, the meat isn't really that important. Because other, you know, like on your plate, you also have your veggies and you can order other things. Like, it's not just the meat that's important. So they're gaslighting you now. They're basically saying, right? So like, at what point is the experience that you actually enjoyed, which is to dine out with your friends and have like a nice meal, a nice burger, and enjoy a pleasant conversation that sometimes had shit talking, at what point is it an entirely different experience? I mean, the restaurant still has the same name, but none of the staff that used to work there when you liked it work there now. You got like an army of fatzos with Californian buzz cut haircuts, painted in blue and red and pink, and you have nothing in common with them, and they just constantly talk about sexuality shit and how queer and gender mancies they are, right? And they're serving you these meals filled with bugs and vermin. And you have to say, no, like, I do support this business because this is the business I grew up with. And it's not, okay? It's fucking not. And to consider it differently is lying to yourself. So it's the same with the gaming industry. Yeah, like, it's still the same gaming companies, you know? Like, they still call BioWare. They're still called Dragon Age. And they remind you of your childhood when you used to play Neverwinter Nights and you played Star Wars The Old Republic. But the games aren't anything like they used to be. The people working there aren't anything like the people that used to work there. The atmosphere and the culture in the company is nothing like it used to be. So, like, why would you support that? Like, they don't have you as a peasant working on their plantation when you need to pay the jizya every single year because they released another game. If they release shit constantly, then they deserve to go bankrupt so that hopefully another company takes their place. In Concord, that games are only made 10% for the audience. No, it's more like the people at the top of the gaming company, they actually do get paid for this. So, like, there's government tax write-offs. There's the investors that are giving them money. So, like, the top of the companies, they still make cash. But it's the average game developer that gets fired. And it's getting to the point where game developers know that, oh, I landed a gig and I'm going to make some cash with it, but after the game launches, I need to look for a new job. Blizzard is another example. All the guys that made the games you love are gone. Blizzard is like a mind-fucking example, man. It's such a bizarre company. So, like, I actually know the story of Blizzard, but Holy shit. Okay, so Blizzard starts off with a couple of edgy guys wanting to make video games, right? So this is like, I think it's the 90s, where, guys were acting in the same way that Asmongold likes to act. Like, they would see a woman with a plump ass on the street and they would whistle, that type of shit, which now is considered inappropriate, but like nothing illegal. It's just that they were dude bros, as the left likes to call it, right? And the dude bros just wanted to make a game for themselves that they would like, and they were sure that if they did that, other people would like it as well, and they would buy it, right? And it turns out that they're actually successful, so they start expanding. And they're making more and more games, and the games are so good, they get international renown. Now, you have feminism coming over, and they're accusing the company of being sexist for not hiring women, but the thing is, like, women weren't really interested in Warcraft. Like a woman seeing an orc holding the decapitated head of a human in his hand is not something that they usually enjoy as a demographic, because most women don't like violence. They like other stuff, they like romance, they like comedy, but most of you guys know that when you have a girlfriend and you want to ask her out to see a movie, unless, it's a girlfriend that's a keeper, like most of them will probably not like to see a slasher film. They would probably not like to see, like, something that's incredibly violent with blood and gore, which is what Diablo and Warcraft were, right? So, like, it's obvious that women aren't attracted to that. It's just that they're not interested. But again, like, the accusations were that, it's sexism. So now they're inviting, they're hiring women, not because, like, we found this game developer and she's really great. It's more like, well, corporate requires us to have like 20% female, so like we're just going to hire women for the sake of them being women so that it looks good on paper. Now the problem is, what Blizzard used to do is that whenever they would release a successful game or whenever they would have like a holiday, they would go out and they would celebrate. Now, when you have like 10 or 20 people working in a garage, finding a place to celebrate isn't that difficult, right? Like, you go out, there's a bar, and everyone is there, and you're sitting at a table, and you're having a couple of glasses, and it's all good, right? But when you grow as a company, and now you have like 500 people working there, well, you can't go to a bar anymore, right? So, like, if you can't go to a bar, you gotta make either place at the office or rent something, and Blizzard like had these booth things, like these booth events where you would basically like have the celebration and you'd decorate your booth like, this is Gadget-san, right? And then you'd have like another booth and it would be Stormwind, and another booth and it's like Sanctuary, right? And like the idea was that people would crawl from booth to booth, and you'd have like these different experiences that like the developers created, and you'd have like drinks and talk to the developers there, and it was for fun. But of course, like, some of the guys flirted with some of the girls, and there was alcohol there, and all of a sudden Blizzard is this rape culture of a company. And then there were other stuff, like, from what I heard, the scandal with the milk, right? Like, when there were like a couple of guys, they would just like throw stuff in the fridge, and then when someone gets hungry, they just take something from the fridge. Like, it's okay if you take something that's not yours, because that's just how the company worked, right? So, like, I go to work, I bring like 6 or 7 sandwiches, and if someone gets hungry, they take a sandwich of mine, I take something from them, so it's all good in the end, right? Well, apparently some woman brought the breast milk. Which, again, like completely different corporate culture now, right? Like from just having a couple of frat guys, that now you need to accommodate for breast milk in the fridge, and they didn't know because it wasn't labeled as breast milk. It was just like a box, which contained milk. And the guy just thought it's normal milk, right? So they drank it, and again, it's like massive scandal. It was in the media. Oh, Dios mío, like they drank the breast milk, and it's like, okay. Which, don't get me wrong, I mean, it looks bad in the papers, but it can be understandable. Like, if you're there coding for 10 hours, right, and you're already very tired, you're already beat down, and you don't really think that much, or just, like, thirsty, and you go into the fridge, you open the fridge, and there's a box of milk, and you chug it, right? It's a completely different context than, like, someone stalking the female employer who placed the breast milk in the refrigerator and just started drinking it while doing a Homelander masturbation routine. So that's the thing with the breast milk, right? It was more like, an accident, but again, like the activists there at the company weren't interested in making the company create good games. They were interested in getting those developers fired so that they can hire based more on nepotism, so that they can hire more of their friends, so that they can hire more of the people they met from university. And again, it's the different culture, right? Like you come from a gender studies department. You're already like trained for a different environment. You want safe spaces. You don't want people making South Park jokes. You don't want, the developers making the same jokes that we had in World of Warcraft Vanilla. The woman who put breast milk in the fridge is a creep. Oh, I'm not even going to start talking about that. Jesus. I don't know how it's like with America. I know that you guys don't get maternity leave, but basically in Romania, when a woman gets pregnant, the government pays her like a 2-year vacation so that she can raise the baby, right? So like this would never happen. You would not have breast milk in the refrigerator. I do understand like why women do that though, because you need to stimulate your lactation. Because first of all, like mother's milk is better than any type of formula because it has antibodies, so the baby gets more healthy. And secondly, like if you don't stimulate it, then you produce less milk and the baby gets more hungry. So the idea is like, okay, she's at work, she probably goes to the bathroom, she milks herself, and then puts it in the fridge so that when she gets home, she gives it with a bottle to the baby, right? Like that's the idea. So I understand why it was in the fridge, but at the same time, look, you need to be more respectful towards others. Like if there's an accident, then obviously, like, the person didn't mean to do it. And you didn't tell anyone, because, like, probably she was a little bit embarrassed about the situation as well. You need to have more understanding for the people around you. You can't just, assume that everyone is going to know what's happening and assume that everyone is being malicious and assume that everyone is being a pervert. No, they don't breastfeed at work. I already explained what happens, right? So, like, the more milk that comes out, the more you stimulate the body to produce, right? So, like, what she did is she went with a breast pump at work. And she probably fed the baby at home before she left. And then she pumped herself at work and placed that bottle in the fridge. Like, hoping that no one notices. And when she leaves work, she takes the bottle with her and gives it to the babe. Apparently the woman didn't even know what happened to the milk. It was just as likely that the cleaning staff was throwing it away. Okay, so if that's the case, because I didn't know, like, she didn't know what happened. I thought that the accusation was that she thought that someone drank it. But yeah, it's possible that the staff threw it away. It's, again, assuming malice is what the left does. Like, every single fucking time when a right-winger is involved, it must be malicious. That's not how it works. The baby must drink the milk shortly after it's being pumped out. A refrigerator doesn't work. Our sink, listen. I will take you to the pediatrics hospital where I did my med school formative training, right? And you get to lecture the mothers and try to remove everything that they believe and insert your ideology in their head. See how that works. Like, let me give you an example, right? There is this common saying in Romania that if there is a draft, the baby gets sick, which is completely ridiculous. It has absolutely nothing to do with reality. If there is a draft, it's like, basically it's like a little windy, right? So you have like one window open and one door open, and now there's a draft. The only thing which can possibly hurt a person from a draft would be like a dry eye syndrome. Right? And that is if the person literally stays in the draft. In fact, the way it works is that if you have a room that is completely closed and there's no air circulation, then microbes and germs and the flugel droplets that Mr. Fauci liked to talk about, they hang in the air and then you get more sick, right? But again, Romanian mothers believe that if you have a draft, the baby gets sick. So, I'm in the hospital, and there's this room, and it's like a fucking oven. And I see, like, all the women in there that are, like, wrapping the babies up like sardines. And they put even a little hat on top of their head to make the baby look like a fucking dumbass. But the baby is red because he is cooking. It's incredibly hot. It's the middle of the summer. The air conditioning doesn't work. It's like 35 degrees, right? So you open a window, and when you open a window, do you know that Stampede in The Lion King? The one where like the earth starts quaking, and then it's like the jungle, na 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 na, and the hyenas are coming, right? And then you realize that is the mothers acting like it's World War Z. It's like, close the window, it's a draft. And there is absolutely nothing you can tell to reason with them, right? Like, you're a doctor, you know medicine, you understand the science. But they understand that if the window is open, there's a draft. Okay? Their understanding is far superior than yours. So there is absolutely nothing you can do, say, plead, discuss in order to rationalize into the mind of the mother that what she is doing is wrong. So when you tell me, oh, this is not how it works with the breast milk in the refrigerator, yeah, you know what? You go there and you tell her that. And see what answer you're going to get. All she knows is that she puts milk in the refrigerator, and then when she gets home, she gives it to the baby, and the baby stops crying. That's it. That you know, it's like in Breaking Bad when you have Mike telling Jesse, it's like, that's all I know. Pretty much. That's how the mother is. Like, I put the milk in the refrigerator, I give it to the baby is quiet. That's all I know. Tell them the window stays open. Oh my fucking god. Do you not think that a person working at a hospital has more important things to do than to argue with like 10 women that are hysterical? There's other patients. There's people that are suffering. They need your help. You cannot win this fight. It's one person versus 10 other hysterical people. No. The window does not stay open. No. I was like looking at my mother-in-law and my wife, and they're doing the same shit, and I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. That, like, the room was like super mega hot. Because we got air conditioning in the home, but they don't want air conditioning because apparently the baby gets sick. Now, to be honest, the baby getting sick from air conditioning, that's actually plausible. Like, you can have germs in the air conditioning filter, and when you turn on the air conditioning, like, the germs get sent around the house, so it is plausible. I don't think it's the case without air conditioning because we cleaned it, but okay, fine. So they're sitting in their room, they're locking themselves in the room, and it's like, I don't know, like maybe 40 degrees. They're like, again, they're cooking. All three of them are cooking. And they don't understand why the baby is hungry all the time. And I was like, what happens when you're thirsty? Sorry, what happens when it's like really, really hot and your tongue is dry? It's like, well, you get thirsty, right? Yeah. So what do babies drink? Because they can't drink they drink milk. Yeah, that's right. So like the reason the baby is hungry constantly is because you're subjecting him to like the Saharan desert. So when you're in the Sahara Desert, you want to drink more. Again, I don't know how to communicate with people that have lost the ability to reason because a baby is present. Like, when it's about babies, at least in Romania, I don't know how it's like in other countries, but women, they go with things that they know, right? And if a woman knows something, then she knows. And you cannot make her unknow it. It's just like it's there. And it's like Moses with the tablets coming from God. It's written there. Solon the Lich says they were like the Sam Hyde sketch going, Blizzard breast milk Balnet to Blizzard devs. Authentic Coomer Legionnaires. Babies being hungry all the time is the default state. Yeah, but like you're going to know that the baby can be hungry all the time or he can be hungrier all the time. Like there is a level where the mother knows how hungry the baby is. Like after a couple of weeks, you kind of know, okay, like he's going to wake up at 2 a.m. in the night. And he does, right? But what happens when he wakes up at 12, 1, and 2? Then you realize, okay, well, he's more hungry than usual. Why? And then you realize, oh, because I'm forcing him to live in dry heat, in Saharan conditions. Now, usually what did work is a lot of sarcasm and asking them questions. Like, that's how you can change some... And not on everything. Like, not on everything. Like, the draft, I haven't managed to figure out how to to change that, but at least like the idea that maybe the room shouldn't be 45 degrees and you should get a fan or something like that is something that I managed to accomplish. No, it's not because they're going through a growth spurt. It was literally because of the heat. Because the moment that we ventilated the room and the temperature dropped to a more acceptable level, then the baby started eating normally again. It was just that he was sweating constantly and he was very thirsty. So when that happens, yeah, like they drink milk because they can't drink water. So if they're thirsty, they will drink. But yeah. My boy is 1 next week, still hungry all the time. No, like it's normal to be hungry, but there's like a different layer of hunger, you know, like when he wants to eat constantly and doesn't sleep that much, then it's a problem. Sorry. 45 degrees Celsius, man. Not Fahrenheit. I'm also exaggerating. It wasn't really 45, but it was like 38, 39. It was close to 30. Like if you were sitting there naked, you would be sweating. That's how hot it was. Good rule of thumb is to dress the baby in one more layer than you have on. Yeah, babies do not produce their own body heat as well as adults, right? So the liver is what produces body heat, and babies don't have everything like fully developed. So if you put your hands on them, they're actually cold. So this is why like they enjoy skin contact, because like they get warm. Anyway, I don't want to talk about babies. Jesus fucking Christ. I'm not. I mean, I am a father, but usually women are the ones that talk about babies constantly. I have other subjects that I'm passionate in, such as Gamergate 3.0, right? So we got Wired. Gamergate's legacy lives on in attack against Kamala Harris. Stop selling it to me. I already said I liked it. Look at this thumbnail, right? So you got Kamala Harris, and she, like, despite being one of the most powerful women on earth, she is sad, right? Like, she is sad that because the shadow is that of an angry transgender-like person screaming in a red space. What did they mean by this? Why? Why did they put this very bizarre thumbnail? But yeah, no, like, it's really easy to explain Gamergate now, because at the time, most people just didn't know what it was, because gaming wasn't that popular. So, like, trying to explain Gamergate for people was very difficult. But now it's so simple. Yeah, you had a lot of woke shit being pushed into gaming, and people didn't like the woke shit. You know, like, think of Bud Light. Kind of like that. Like, you had all these insufferable twats that were pushing, like, their agenda and their ideology into games, to the point that even left-wing people that like games were giving them the middle finger. And they got horrified by that because they didn't expect, like, leftists to stand against them. So they branded everyone a misogynist. They got women to push their ideology, right? And we get to see the effects of that today. Like, you look at gaming today, and you can see the effects. It's the same like Marvel movies or Disney movies. Like you know, they used to be good, and now they're shit. And the thing that caused the shit was what Gamergate was fighting against. Like, they didn't want the shit to happen. But unfortunately, the shit did happen because the people pushing it were a lot more wealthy than the collective power of the internet. So the misogynistic online campaign. You know, I find it interesting how, like, Antifa always say, well, you can't have a revolution without breaking a few eggs. Well, you can't have a cultural movement without some misogyny then, right? Especially when the people that are pushing the ideology, they're hiring female spokespeople in order for them to drown out the criticism so that the actual ideologues get shielded. Like, they're hiring actresses and they're hiring ladies that do the talking points, and the actual ideologue hides under the skirt of that lady. Pretty disgusting, if you ask me. Gamergate was something that bubbled up in the anonymous dark corners of the internet. False. It was very public. Like, there were people on YouTube showing their faces talking about it, just like there are now. Like you got your Geeks and Gamers, you got your Flashcaster shit. Yeah, back then it was the same thing. It wasn't like in the dark corners of the internet. No, it's like everyone knew who they were. You got Zoe Quinn and Anita Sarkeesian. Yeah, Zoe Quinn actually got herself involved in a game developer that committed suicide. It's interesting that she's being paraded now as if that didn't happen. But she falsely accused someone, and that person got ostracized by their peers. The accusation was absolutely bewildering, because like the person is half her size. Like like physically speaking, yeah, like men are stronger than women, but there are exceptions. Like you looked at how that individual looks like, and then you look at Zoe Quinn, and it's like there's no way that this man could physically overpower this lady. Which is what she was claiming, that he grabbed her by the pussy and dragged her around the house. And it's like, you're looking at the pictures and you're like, there is no fucking way that ever happened. But without any evidence besides an accusation, the guy gets Me Too'd, he gets separated from friends and family, and then he commits suicide. And for some fucking reason, like if anyone else did this, if any other person would have done this, they would have been canceled. They would have been canceled, their channels would have been demonetized, they would have been banned from the internet. But because it was Zoe Quinn, was a renowned activist, she still worked in the comic book industry, she still managed to keep all her accounts, and then people just forgot, and now she's being given in the media as if she's the savior. So the U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris became the presumptive Democratic nominee for president. The attacks didn't originate from some anonymous trolls. They came from inside the House. Representative Tim Burchett, a Republican from Tennessee, called Harris a DEI hire. Well, okay, let's look at how Kamala Harris got elected, right? The U.S. president, who said on Twitter that he is running, who had his own staffers assure the population that he is running, all of a sudden drops out in the same day that he assures people he is still running. How does that make sense, right? How is that fair for the American people? And then you don't have an actual primary, right? Because allegedly it's too late. So if the president dropped earlier, you could have had the primary, but because he dropped in the last moment, well, you can't. And everyone is like, okay, Kamala Harris is your president. Yeah, no, how is it wrong to make fun and criticize that it is a DEI hire? And by the way, am I wrong, or was it like the media was demanding that the president selects a woman of color? So like if you're demanding that they select a woman of color, you are demanding the DEI hiring. I love the fact where they're like, on one hand, they push for DEI hiring, like race-based nepotism, but in another hand, they freak out when you criticize race-based nepotism. This happened in the Soviet Union, by the way. Like, this was common tactic. It was hiring from the family, right? So, like, hiring the boss's son, hiring the boss's nephew, hiring the boss's relatives. And if you complained and you were saying, like, well, this guy is hired because he's a relative with the boss, it'd be like, no, obviously he's a great engineer. Why are you saying that? What do you mean? So what if he is the boss's son? Like, he's an amazing engineer. Why are you bringing it up? Why are you making a deal out of it? Are you saying that the family of the boss is a problem? Is it because you're a counter-revolutionary and the boss was fighting for the revolution? Is this why you're, you know? It's kind of like that. Former President Donald Trump labeled Harris a radical left lunatic and nasty. Well, first of all, the left-wingers are saying even worse about Trump. But secondly, she does have like the most radical left platform in the entire House. Like there were articles that were published. So look how the reporters are doing this. They're just saying these things, but they're not saying they're false. They're just saying, look how bad things are. So taking cues from the elected lawmakers and readers from the Republican Party, the right-wing attack machine kicked into gear. I love the fact that they believe that the cart is in front of the horse. It's not that the people that are elected are just saying what their constituents think. No, it's the other way. It's like if Donald Trump wouldn't have criticized her, and if Tim Burchett wouldn't have criticized her, every single Republican and right-winger would be endorsing Kamala Harris right now. Right? But it's, goddammit, that evil Donald Trump and that evil Tim Burchett. Like, if only we could have censored them. If only we could have prevented their vocal tones to get into the ears of the public, now everyone would have voted for Kamala because obviously there's no other choice. Why would you vote for anyone else besides Kamala? She is perfect in every single way to the point where even Disney could cast her for Star Wars. Like she is amazing. She is the bestest ever. There is no legitimate criticism against her. None whatsoever. Many others focused on the fact that Harris is a woman who has not given birth. I love this. It's like, okay, so you have gotten into a point where the Democrats cannot even say what a woman is. Like I am curious if I was to be able to speak with the person who wrote this article and I asked them, like, what is a woman? They probably wouldn't know, right? So now the Democrats don't even know how humans reproduce. Like, the old classical way would be for a man and a woman to get together in a holy marriage and have children, right? But that is outdated. No, the correct way for reproduction is to open the borders and allow everyone to flow in. That is how humans reproduce, according to the Democrats. Sorry for interrupting, says Iva Gry, but is Dungeons and Dragons making a comeback? Okay, so I actually did talk to Sargon. I think I can talk about it now because it's been a couple of weeks and I don't think anything is going to come out of it. But I did talk to Sargon and we wanted to make something else, right? Like we wanted to play something. And Sargon suggested that we get Razor Fist and we play one of the most LGBT games that has ever been made, which is Battletech. And Battletech, like, is a game that when you play it on the computer, it even has pronouns in the bio, but it's very LGBT. It's a type of game that my heteronormativity prevents me from playing. Like it's not the thing with the little toys and the miniatures and shit. So I'm like, you know what? Fine, I'll play it. Fuck it. Like there's not. I really just want to spend time with you guys. I just want to have a stream where we play games and it's fun, right? Because now I got a lot of stress. Now I'm with my son and I'm also working on other projects and I'm making videos. So it's like it's relaxing, right? So, I don't know what game they had, but like it required that you install like 45 different programs on your computer and VPNs and shit just to be able to play it. And I tried it and it didn't work for me. So I don't know what's happening. Like I think like Arch, Sargon, and Razor Fist played a couple of matches, but I think they played offline. So I don't know what is coming out of that. I'll talk to Arch. Maybe I'll find something. I would like to play anything right now. But I mean personally, if it was up to me and they would be fine with playing with non-streamers, I do have a GM that's really good at Stargate. So like playing a Stargate RPG would have been fun, but again, it's difficult to find something that Arch and Sargon enjoys, right? So like Battletech, I wasn't a big fan because I don't know the universe. I don't like tabletop games. It's not really my thing. I prefer role-playing games. But at the end of the day, I don't have played anything. Why don't you collab with Geeks and Gamers Tabletop? I don't know. I'll probably talk with them at some point. But right now, I just wanted something simple. I just wanted a little game that, you know, you just play casually in order to relax. Hi V, how's it going? Gamergate 3 to return soon. Yes, apparently it did. It's against Kamala. No, that please. I'm tired of the news cycle and the false outrage. There's nothing happening and no one does anything. Well, it's kind of like here's the most difficult aspect of my job, right? Because being a streamer is one of the best jobs in the world, in my opinion. Like you go in your own room, you sit at a microphone, and you get to entertain people, and you make your own schedule. So it's really amazing. I can't complain. Like there's jobs that are far worse, like being a doctor and telling parents that their kid is going to die and there's nothing you can do about it. You know, like I don't have to deal with that shit anymore. I don't have to go to a person and say, oh yeah, like we tested for leukemia and it's positive. You don't have to do that. You're a YouTuber now. And there's like certain disadvantages, like you don't know if you're going to have any safety, because like any day you can be booted off the platform or whatever. But like one of the worst things, one of the things that really chip you down in this line of work is when you read the news and you see like a person getting arrested for tweeting Facebook emojis, and you realize that this actually happened. Like it's not like reading a book and you find out, oh wow, this is fucked up. It's like a Game of Thrones stuff. No. Like there is a person out there with a family and a job, and they tweeted some things. They were being like a cheeky little shit on the internet, and now they got arrested and they're going to prison with some of the most dangerous individuals in society, and they're going to stay in prison for over a year, and their job is gone. That they're probably going to have like a felony, a criminal record. Their family is going to be devastated. Like I generally cannot even fathom how that is like, right? And every day you read some shit like that. Every single day you find out that, oh, this happened, and it's you realize, okay, it's an actual human being, like it's an actual person. And the worst thing about it, I think, is that you start to get desensitized. Not desensitized. What is the word for it? Where the emotional impact isn't as high as it should be. Like for instance, right? You read about like you see on Twitter a guy that I think like this was in the United States. Oh yeah. So in the United States, there's this woman with a gun, and there's two people that are pushing a baby stroller. And the woman with the gun just opens fire for no fucking reason at the guy. And the guy like runs away. And then the woman with the gun just shoots the baby. And you're seeing that, right? And it's not political. It's not a terrorist attack. It's probably like a blimp in the radar. It's just like one of those news that just gets mentioned. But like there's nothing big coming out of it, And the police puts an APB on that woman. And you're like, okay, that actually happened. This is not a movie, right? This is not a skit. This is not something that people put on the internet for some shock value. No, like there were actually a couple in New York that were pushing a baby in a stroller, and all of a sudden this lady comes out and opens fire. And I gotta say, moments like this, I appreciate that I'm in Romania. Yeah, it's kind of like apathetic and desensitized, because like the thing is, like, you get to see it every day. Like the first time you see it, you're shocked, right? Like the first time you see it, you can't believe it. You're like, holy shit, like Jesus, like how could this happen, right? And then you see something else again the next day, and you're like still shocked. But after like 100 days of seeing it, it becomes normalized, and it's like, well, I mean, it's New York, right? I mean, but it shouldn't be like that. You shouldn't think like that. But like, what can you do? Because at the end of the day, it's true. It is New York. And it is what's happening. So, look, people in the chat. Oh, New York. Well, that explains everything. Who did the shooting, V? Why is it always them? Boga, why are you getting me into trouble, Boga? I can talk about it, but I would be in big trouble, Boga. I would be in big trouble. Because you see, the people in charge of both New York and the platforms, what they hate the most is people talking about it. They want, okay, it happened. Now can we move on? Nothing to see here. Just move on. This is how they deal with the situation. Because the situation is very dangerous for the politicians. They don't want to lose their seats. They're very comfortable. And the people in charge, the police officers, they don't want to get fired. They're pretty comfortable. They need your taxpayer money, so they don't want people to talk about it. Like, that would be awful. Congo Bongo, enlarge your avatar so it covers the screen. Make it look and sound dystopian like 1984. Jesus. Let me see if I can actually... I get it. Oh, is this better, chat? Do you guys like it better? Do you know that it was actually made by a Blizzard developer? This avatar. Can I... Alright, no, I think this is good. Julian Ajavon, now you got to run a test on a country and tell us that the test came back positive for communism. Which country though? I mean, it's kind of hard. To be fair, I don't even know if calling it communism is fair at this point, because it's a completely new ideology. Yeah, like diversity, inclusivity, and equity. Like woke ideology is different than communism. I can guarantee to you, if you had a time machine and you brought like the people of today into the Soviet Union, they'd get shot. Like I don't know how many of you are aware, but in the Soviet Union, being gay was illegal. Like, I'm not saying it as in Russia today, you're not allowed to do LGBT propaganda. No, no, no. Like, in the Soviet Union, if they found out that you had non-heteronormative relationships, you would get put in jail. Like, they would arrest you. They would put you in prison if you had them put sex. And this was true for every single Soviet country on Earth, except for Eastern Germany. I don't know what's about the Germans, but like even the communists couldn't straighten them up. Minecraft, before letting yourself be arrested for tweets. By the way, thank you for the 50, Julian. It's a lot of money. Gamergate looks more and more like a marketing gimmick. Mission creep is real. Yeah, that's true, the Dashing Rogue. Big Troll is watching, yes. See, here's the thing with the United Kingdom that a lot of people don't understand. None of the laws that are being applied now are laws that didn't exist. Like what's happening in the UK right now, you can't really call it an injustice. And I'll explain why that is. Every single law, like being arrested for talking mad shit on the internet, was codified in legislation for more than 10 years now. But for some reason, people in the UK, they didn't care about it, right? Like they thought, oh, well, the law says that they can arrest you, but surely they will. And now there are. And this is what pisses me off when every single time politicians make a law which is very ambiguous, right? And people will say, oh, it's fine. I mean, it's ambiguous, but like surely they will interpret it in a common sense way. But no, that's not what it happens, right? So, like, if you don't fight against unjust legislation when it comes out, and you're seeing, like, Count Dankula getting arrested, and you're laughing, and you're like, oh, well, that's silly, that would never happen to me. Like, no, at what point it will happen. And if it doesn't happen to you personally, it will happen in a way that will make you afraid from pursuing your actual interests. Yeah, the thing with the UK is not necessarily that the laws are unjust, because, again, I could live and I could tolerate a nation where laws are unjust, but the problem is that they're applied unequally. So, I have seen people say really hateful stuff, but nothing was done to them, right? Nothing ended up happening. A perfect example. They say that you're not allowed to utter grossly offensive things, which is fair enough. But why is it when you have, like, the Scottish Prime Minister go around and say, oh, there's too many white people here. Like, there's a white person there and another white person, and look over there, a white person, right? And his speech isn't enough to arrest him or imprison him. Even though, like, imagine going into any other country. Imagine going into South Korea and be like, oh, there's too many South Koreans here. There's a South Korean over there and one over there. And, like, what is that? A South Korean? Or going into India, it's like, Hindis are everywhere. Why are there so many Hindis? Right? Like that speech would be unacceptable everywhere in the world. And it's unacceptable in Scotland as well, which is why, like, so many people were filing complaints. But the police goes, like, I mean, we can't arrest the Prime Minister, right? But then you have, like, someone else that posts something edgy on Facebook and they get arrested. So, yeah, it is a two-tier system. Like, the United Kingdom still believes in aristocracy, it seems. That speech was extremely grossly offensive. Literally the definition of that law that should work on him. Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Like, who gets to decide what is grossly offensive? Like, even when you objectively see that something is grossly offensive because you're receiving thousands of phone calls and you're receiving emails and people are telling you that they have been grossly offended. That, like, okay, well, we're not going to do that. But then you have, like, okay, Count Dankula, and you have, like, a handful of people that claim they're grossly offended, and all of a sudden you start making arrests. Like, that's a two-tier system. Microsoft is looking to hire for the new DI team to make games that are acceptable for actual gamers. Man, making games for actual gamers is not that fucking complicated. I mean, they've been doing it since the 90s. Look, first of all, choose your target audience. Do you want a game for girls or do you want a game for boys? It's not fucking rocket science, okay? Stop believing that people like the same shit. And now if you want to make a game for teenage boys, make it with a lot of blood, gore, and a woman with a plump ass and sexy tits. That's all you gotta do, right? Like, Bayonetta has been made, it's popular. Stellar Blade has been made, it's popular. That's literally the bare minimum. You do that, you're going to print money. If you want to make a game for girls, then make like a simulator, like a SimCity, a hidden object game, point and click games. There was another game called Miss Bimbo where you had like a lot of costumes and fashions things, and you had to dress your bimbo and get her a boyfriend that pays her money so that she can buy more shit. Women like that. So yeah, the idea that, oh, well, everyone likes the same stuff. I mean, there is some overlap, by the way. Like games like League of Legends or Overwatch, yeah, like they have female audience. But when it comes to like the type of games that women play, it's completely like you may have some women playing Mortal Kombat, right? But women usually don't like violence, and men do like violence in fiction. So you need to take that into account, right? Like, the more violent the game, the less likely it is you're going to have a female audience. So if you're not going to have a female audience, go full on the sexualization shit, right? Don't make a game for men and you make penis sliders. Like, why would you make a game that's catering for a male audience and you invest so much into the penis physics? Like when you hear the developers talk about how they made penises in Baldur's Gate and how they would say that, oh, like the dong moves with you, and it's like, it's a lot more difficult to animate and to create realistic physics for penises than it is for boobs, right? So you guys invested all of that into the penis thing, but you didn't invest anything in a breast slider or in making asses big. Like, what the fuck are you thinking? What are your priorities? Like, are you gay? Like, that's fine if you're gay, but like, stop assuming that everyone else on Earth is. People still need to have children so that when America opens its borders, they can send their children into the United States of America and live the American dream. Sim work for women because it's a digital dollhouse. Yeah, I genuinely liked Sims for a little bit. I played it for like a couple of weeks and I can understand why it's addictive, but like after I played it, I was like, okay, but like, what's the objective in the game? Like, you never finish. There's no point, you know. Like, it's nice if you have like a sim and they're climbing all the way up to their job ladder and now they're, you know, like the toppest job. But after you do that and you buy everything, it's like, okay, you want to buy like expensive stuff. You want to buy the most expensive TV. You want to buy the most expensive, okay. But then it's like, and then what? And there is no answer. So like, then the game becomes boring. Conan Exiles has a male charisma slider. Yeah, I notice how many games focus on the penis now. It's a little bit bizarre, right? I have nothing with focusing on the penis, but it's like a slider that most people don't care about. Meanwhile, sliders that people do care about, which is the tit size, that doesn't even exist. Most women spend time building and decorating in Sims. Curious that the best games are enjoyable and endearing when the protagonist is a straight white man. No, I don't think so. I think that the best games are so, like, first of all, it depends what genre of games, right? I don't like talking about games as if they're this melting pot. It's like talking about books in general, right? So, like, obviously, like, what makes a great RTS game is different than what makes a great first-person shooter game. like for instance Doom, right? Like Doom, you don't even know the race or the skin color of the character. You know he's a guy, but that's it, and he barely speaks, right? And it's still a great game. But if you want like immersive games, like stuff that's really good, I think when you play as a woman and the game world acknowledges that you're a woman, I think that's the best games that I like personally. Like when you play Tomb Raider, right? Like Tomb Raider, the first one from the remake. Okay, you play as Lara Croft, and the entire game you stare at her ass. So, you know, as a guy, I would preferably stare at her ass than Chris Rayfield's. So okay, you're a guy, and you're playing with this hot chick, and everyone acknowledges that you're a hot chick. Like you get the random geek that's trying to impress you and risks his life, and he's actually being very heroic about it. But you notice that he has a crush on you. The first time that she takes a life is when a Russian guy tries to rape her, and she manages to escape. And again, like this creates drama, it creates tension. You want to see her survive and make it. But you have the video game journalists complain about it. Oh my god, it has a rape scene. Which is very weird, because when you have Game of Thrones, and Game of Thrones has a rape scene where Daenerys gets raped by Khal Drogo, no one cares. In fact, you know what I noticed? Like this is something that fascinates me. So Game of Thrones, in the first episode, you got Khal Drogo, which, you know, forces himself on Daenerys. Now, some people will say, well, it wasn't really forced because, like, she consented to the marriage. So, okay, fine, whatever. But then you have later on in seasons when Ramsay, after getting married, has sex with Sansa, which is a lot more like the way they filmed it, the way they presented it to the audience is a lot more consensual, because Daenerys had no choice. Like, she had to marry Khal Drogo. She was forced to marry Khal Drogo. She couldn't say no, right? So she was stuck in that situation. You can see that during the marriage she hates it, and you can see that she definitely didn't want it. But Sansa actually is given a choice. Like, Sansa is talking with Peter Baelish on top of Winterfell and is like, do you want to go through this or do you want to call it off? And Sansa goes, no, I want to go through this, right? So she sees Ramsay, marries him, and then for some reason it's implied that, well, no, actually she got raped. It's like, how? How? Because it's like when she consented for the marriage, she knew that right after the marriage needs to be consummated. Like, we're looking at the Westerosi law, right? Like, we're looking at their culture, their laws, their system of mindsets. So like, people were really upset about the presentation of Ramsay and Sansa, but they weren't upset about Daenerys and Khal Drogo. And the only explanation that I can have is that Khal Drogo is hot. That's it. That is the only explanation, right? Because Ramsay is a creep and Khal Drogo is hot. And apparently that is how game journalists think. Like, literally, if it's arousing for them, because most of these game journalists seem to be 40-year-old something winehounds, right? And if they get moist, if they get horny, if they get aroused, they like it and they support it. And it seems that bear sex, sex with demons, sex with Khal Drogo, and big fat cocks in the video games is what they support. And if it doesn't arouse them, if it's about big boobies, stellar blade, it disgusts them and they think it's vile and childish. Ramsay is hotter than Drogo? That's not what the women on the forums have to say. Because she changed her mind? No. I remember, like, watching the forums after the first episode, right? So they didn't know that she would change her mind. Blaskowitz, descendant of Doomguy? Is this canonical now? My succubi need a booba slider? Oh, goodness. Like, no, that's not possible. I don't have the technology for that. Anyway, right? I'm gonna go and upload the videos on my other channels now. So, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully, it was an entertaining stream. And I will see you tomorrow. Oh, we got one more super chat. You're noticing female thinking patterns. Stop it with the bigotry. Well, I don't know. Most women aren't like this in Europe. This seems to be mostly with the game journalists in the